Start off by giving all glory and honor and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. I'm your brother Magun Shalamar, an affiliate of Great Millstone. The title today is going to be called Being Called a Black Hebrew Israelite is a Demonic Social Concept that was created. The word black was created to be demonizing to the Israelites, okay? And that word black came about in the late 1600s. Now, that word black Hebrew Israelite is a demonic social concept word. It was used in a report on October the 20th, 1999 by an FBI director named Louis Freeh. And at that time he said that the black Hebrew Israelites are considered a terrorist threat to the United States. A terrorist threat. Okay? So we was put on that list as being as being terrorists, okay, and they lumped it up as being called black Hebrew Israelite. Now, so today we're going to go into that word black and when it first became invented or used in the court of law, and it started doing what it was called the Bacon's Rebellion. Okay, it says inventing black and white. Learn how Bacon's Rebellion became a turning point for the way the laws of colonial Virginia distinguished people of different races. In Virginia in the 1600s, Anthony Johnson secured his freedom from indentured servitude, acquired land, and became a respected member of his community. Elizabeth Key successfully appealed to the colony's legal system to set her free after she had been wrongfully enslaved. By the 1700s, the laws and customs of Virginia had begun to distinguish black people from the white people, making it impossible for Virginians of African descent to do what Johnson and Key had done. Okay, so this is just showing you a photo of this rebellion that took place in Jamestown. We're gonna get into who was the leader of this guy right here in the middle, Nathaniel Bacon. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna this guy right here, that's Nathaniel Bacon, and we're gonna find out about him. All right, now as you can see also there's some, I believe some it says there was slaves. So this guy right here looks like he might be a Jake, maybe him. So there's Jakes in this crowd that was fighting alongside of Nathaniel Bacon. All right, so why did Virginia lawmakers make these changes? Many historians point to an event known as Bacon's Rebellion in 1676 as a turning point. Nathaniel Bacon was a wealthy white property owner and a relative of Virginia's governor William Berkeley, but Bacon and Berkeley did not like each other, and they disagreed over issues pertaining to how the colony should be governed, including the colony's policy towards Native Americans, so-called Native Americans. Bacon wanted the colony to retaliate for raids by the Native Americans on frontier settlements and to remove all Native Americans from the colony so landowners like himself could expand their property. Berkeley feared that doing so would unite all the nearby tribes in a costly and destructive war against the colony. So Bacon wanted to go to war with the tribe of Gad in order for it to for him and people like him, the rich so-called white man, the settlers could expand and take over their land. But Berkeley was more afraid. He said, well, if you do that, then you're gonna call, because it's really few of us compared to the tribe of Gad. They can all unite and destroy all of us. Okay, in defiance of the governor, Bacon organized his own militia consisting of white and black indentured servants and enslaved black people who joined in exchange for freedom and attacked nearby tribes. A power struggle ensued with Bacon and his militia on one side and Berkeley, the Virginia House of Burgesses, and the rest of the colonies elect on the others. Months of conflict followed, including armed skirmishes between militias. In September 1676, Bacon's militia captured Jamestown and burned it to the ground. So this is the photo again of when Jonathan Bacon and his militia, they captured Jamestown, Berkeley's town, and burned it to the ground. Okay, and this consists of servitude men of white, so-called blacks, and also so-called blacks, the slaves. So all those three groups, they all came together. The so-called black man and so-called white man, the poor, they came together to fight alongside of this guy, Nathaniel Bacon, and they captured the town and burned it. All right. Although Bacon died of fever a month later and the rebellion fell apart, Virginia's wealthy planters were shaken by the fact that the rebel militia that united white and black servants and slaves had destroyed the colonial capital. Legal scholar Michelle Alexander writes, the events in Jamestown were alarming to the planter elite, who were deeply fearful of the multiracial alliance of indentured servants and slaves. Word of Bacon's rebellion spread far and wide, and several most uprisings of a similar type followed. In an effort to protect the superior status and economic position, the planters shifted their strategy for maintaining dominance. They abandoned their heavy reliance on indentured servants in favor of importation of more black slaves. Okay, you see that? So that's when you got the elites, the top elites got together, and they said, well, let's do something so that the poor whites and the slaves don't come back together again, because if they come back together again, they might burn down another capital or overrun our government. So let's do something in order to keep what happened in Bacon's rebellion not from happening anymore. So they decided to do what? It says they abandoned their heavy reliance on indentured servants in favor of importation of more black slaves. All right. After Bacon's rebellion, Virginia lawmakers began to make legal distinctions between white and black inhabitants, okay, by permanently enslaving Virginians of African descent and giving poor white indentured servants and farmers some new rights and statuses. They hoped to separate the two groups and make it less likely that they would unite again in rebellion. Historian Ira Berlin explains, soon as Bacon's rebellion, they increasingly distinguished between people of African descent and people of European descent. Now we know that of African descent, we're not Africans. We're Israelites. Okay, we came from Shem. We didn't come from Ham. All right. They enact laws which say that people of African descent are hereditarily slaves, and they increasingly give some power to the independent white farmers and landholders. So at this point, it's saying that if your mom and your dad was slaves and you was born to them, you gonna be a slave, okay? By hereditary. You can't say, well, I wasn't put in chains. You was born a slave, your parents was a slave, they were slaves, you was born into slavery. By hereditary, you're a slave. So you can't be set free. Okay? That's the demonic shit that Esau does, man. Now, what is interesting about this is that we normally say that slavery and freedom was opposite things, that they are diametrically opposed. But what we see here in Virginia in the late 17th century around Bacon's Rebellion is that freedom and slavery are created at the same point. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the first appearance in the print of the adjective white in reference to a white man, a person of a race distinguished by a light complexion, was in 1671. Colonial charters and other official documents written in the 1600s and early 1700s rarely refer to European colonists as white. As the status of people of African descent in British colonies were challenged and attacked, and as white indentured servants were given new rights and statuses, the word white continued to be more widely used in public documents and private papers to describe the European colonists. People of European descent were considered white, and those of African descent was labeled black. Historian Robin D.G. Kelly explains. Many of the European descended poor white began to identify themselves, if not directly with the rich whites, certainly with being white. And here you get the emergence of this idea of a white race as a way to distinguish themselves from those dark-skinned people who they associated with perpetual slavery. See that? Perpetual slavery. Meaning you couldn't be born just because you was born, your parents were slaves. When you born, you also gonna be a slave. Like it's an ongoing thing. Like they was planning this forever, that we was always gonna be slaves to them. The division of American society between black and white that began in the late 1600s had devastating consequences of African Americans, as slavery became an institution that flourished for centuries. Law and civil rights activist Brian Stevenson explains, slavery deprived the enslaved person of any rights of autonomy and granted the slave owner complete power over the black man, woman, and children legally recognized as property. American slavery was often brutal, barbaric, and violent. In addition to the hardship of forced labor, enslaved people were maimed and killed by slave owners as punishment for working too slowly, visiting a spouse living on another plantation, or even learning to read. Enslaved people was also sexually exploited. All right, so there you go. You see that in 1676, that's when they start using the word black as a demonic social concept to demonize us, you know. So I'm gonna just get this one precept, Lamentation 4:18. They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our own streets. Esau always hunted our steps, you know. That's what he does. He always hunted our step, demonizing us, want to destroy us, you know. But we know that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, when Yahweh Shai HaMashiach returns and get us up out this hell by burning and destroying America, the place we call America, you know, and we go back to the Father, man. Go back to our place in Jerusalem. Talking about the elect that's gonna be saved up out of this hell that's gonna be brought to America. Destruction, the hell of fire. That's the true hell. Is that fire that's going to be brought here through the ICBM missiles and Yahweh Shai HaMashiach destroying this place. Because we know this place right here and right now is not our place of rest. You know, so we praying, hoping, and praying that Yahweh Shai HaMashiach comes here soon and destroy this damn devil, man. Destroy the so-called white man, Edomites. and then we'll rejoice, and we won't have to worry about this demonic shit that they put on us. All right. I hope you was edified. I'm your brother Magun Shalamar. I want to say Shalom. Call halal Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, the great millstones who rule well. I hope you was edified. Shalom.